Hi, sweetheart. You gonna let me film or not? No? She's like, give me all your attention. Now that I have your attention, her name's Gaia, by the way, I wanted to talk to you about winter and riding. So there are some people still riding. They haven't put their bikes away for winter, and a lot of people don't. Winter has been extremely mild so far. Like we only had one snowstorm, which is very unusual for this state. I wanted to spend a little time for those who are still riding, and especially who are new riders, what to watch out for when you're dealing with colder temperatures, how to stay warm on the bike. So hopefully this is helpful to somebody. And she's like, I want mama's attention. Hey, if you're a cat person, give me a thumbs up. And you have to subscribe. I'm sorry, cat people, you have to subscribe. Love you. Let's get into it. So winter. She's not going to let me film today. So winter. Winter is not made for everybody. There are people who can handle winter very well, people who love the cold. I generally like the cold. And then there's others that just, no, they would rather just avoid it. And let me just say right now, if you're one of those people that just doesn't like the cold and you don't like going out and riding, there are ways to keep yourself warm so you don't feel that cold, but there's no shame in saying, nope, I'm not riding in this. Don't feel bad. I've put my stuff away for winter and I love the cold. Let me pull out a few facts from observations of when I ride in cold weather, because mornings can get very cold very early. What gear you ride depends on the temperature. It depends upon the day. It depends on a bunch of things. So I pulled out some of my gear here that I wear so that you can understand what I do to keep myself warm. And I don't have a huge budget. So for those of you who have a budgetary expenditure, I feel you. I've been there. I had a little piece of something new all the time, and to help build my gear, start it with basic and build up from there. But temperatures in winter feel differently than in summer. So 60 degrees in summer, you might be able to get away with the summer jacket. Winter, you're probably going to need a bit more of a mid-weight jacket, because for some reason, it always feels 10 degrees colder than it does in the summer. When you see 60 degrees in winter, think of 50 degrees in summer. So I don't know why it's like that. If you're into that type of science, weather, explain why it feels colder, please comment. I'd love to hear it. Gearing up is important. If you don't wear the right gear, you feel cold. Your hands feel cold. Your toes feel cold. Your neck just, it's so cold. It's just burning. If your hands are too cold and all you're thinking of is the pain in your fingers, or you're not focusing on riding, it becomes a distraction. You have to focus on the right equipment so that you are not put into a bad situation. Now, I'm only going to speak from personal experience, because I don't believe in talking about things I don't personally experience. So let's get into the individual temperatures now. 50 to 60 degrees, as I said, take 60 degrees in summer and add 10 degrees. Take 50 degrees in winter and add 50 degrees in summer and add 10 degrees, 40. I'm going to feel like 40 in summer. So about 50, 60 degrees, I would recommend mid-weight. I wouldn't recommend summer gear. What I've got here is Four Seasons gear. Now, Four Seasons gear is meant for year-round riding. It's one gear for it all, but it's expensive. I've got the Cycle Gear Special Sedici, and it works. I just use this, but I don't leave any liners in. Right now it has its winter liner in, because the last time I rode, it was down on the 40 degrees. It's warm enough. You keep the vents closed, you're fine. 50, 60 degrees, I will wear just my summer gloves, because it's just easier. bulkier gloves just take away controls. Here it's actually pretty thin, so I can easily control everything. And it also provides a little bit better protection. If I feel a little cold, I will add a glove liner. You can get these, they're really cheap. If you cannot get Four Seasons gear, take your summer jacket and add a hoodie underneath. You just got it. 40 to 50. Now this is the one I have the most experience with because anytime I will go to work, I'm riding in about 40 degrees. So I'm very familiar with this. This is where I pull out my winter gloves. So these are winter gloves. Now the problem with winter gloves, they're thick, they're bulky, your movements are a lot more limited, but they do keep your hands warm. And to be truthfully honest, I have a choice. I could either stick with these and have mobility, but my hands are so cold, they're screaming at me and that's all I focus on, or I could have less mobility, but my hands are warmer and I could focus on the road. This wins the battle every time. It's all about safety. Safety comes first. Now, when we get down into like 40 degrees, that's when I start putting in liners on top of these. Now, you'll notice I haven't talked about heated gear. Heated gear is not something I have experience in, but I do know a little bit about heated gear and when to start incorporating it, because I'd love to get heated gear one day. But when you're dealing with 40 and 50 degrees, you need to start wearing gaiters on your neck because you probably are wearing a full face helmet. You're probably going to want something that covers the main part of your face, but you're going to want to wear a gaiter. Now, this gaiter is specifically meant for helmets. So as you can see, there's an opening. And this is fleece. And yes, this is plenty warm. I have actually ridden in this in under 40 degrees and my neck, I couldn't tell a difference. Most of the time during 40 degrees, I literally just wear cotton ones and they work great. They go around your neck, they bunch up around your neck, and they actually keep your neck pretty warm. Below 40. I've only ridden below 40 once, and that was 32, and it was only going down the street at going 35 miles an hour. I wore full leathers, and I had my neck gaiter and my helmet, my winter gloves, and that was it. I was just transporting my bike. That's all I was doing. Outside of that, I've never ridden below 40, but I've heard that you needed heated gear. Now, there are two types of heated gear out there. There is the battery operated heated gear, and then there's the plug-in. So you have the entire full body suit, basically, individual pieces, and then you plug them in and you plug them into an auxiliary input in your bike. If you don't have one, you can easily install it. It's not hard. Which one do you need to do? Well, there's a rule about heated gear. I'm going to put it in this little pie chart over here. And in this chart, it's basically breaking up into three: cost, protective, heated. Here's the rule. You can only have two at one given time. If it's protective and it's heated, it's not going to be cheap. If it's heated but cheap, it's not going to be protective. If it's cheap and protective, it's not going to be heated. Heat gear costs a lot. Battery operated tends to be a little cheaper, but you're talking about battery operated, which isn't, it gets mixed reviews. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Did you remember to charge it or not? You could also have a bike that has heated grips and a heated seat. That must be nice. I have neither one of those. I have to wear layers. Lots of layers. If you're dealing with below 35 degrees, you're probably going to need the full plug-in kit. You don't have to worry about it being battery powered. Did you charge the batteries? All you have to worry about when you take your gear off, make sure you unplug from the bike before you like I said, I haven't had any heated gear, so I don't have a whole lot of personal experience. I just know that those two exist, and that's about the application. Now, it's cold. You can't afford full Four Seasons gear because it isn't cheap. I'm sorry, it's not. And you need to stay warm. You can get yourself like just a leather jacket, You can usually find those cheaper than Four Seasons gear. And if it's really cold, you can put a hoodie underneath. It might be a little bulky, but at least you'll be warm, and you'll have some protection at the same time. Leathers are always a great option to go to for cold weather because of the fact it's leather. The trick with cold weather is stop the wind. If you stop the wind, you can be warm. But if you can't stop the wind, you're going to be cold. It's really that simple. Below 30, just about everybody draws the line below 30. We just go, nope, 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 just too cold. I'll take the car. Below 30, I would imagine you would have to have full heated gear at that point, on top of having layers. And hopefully you have a bike with heated grips, heated seat, and wind deflection. I've never ridden below 30. The coldest I've ridden is 32, and only for a couple of blocks. If you do ride in 30 degrees weather, let me know. I'd love to hear. So here's some tips to keep an eye out for when you're riding in cold. It isn't just about temperature. It's about the nature of cold weather. Where I live, you could have a really bad snowstorm and it compacts over time and it starts to melt and it develops into these big chunks of ice. And then you might have 2 or even 3 weeks go by and it's in the 50s. And you're thinking, oh, all that stuff's melted. Not here. If you're in a shaded area, that ice almost never melts. I think last year we had a pretty bad winter. When we had a big snowstorm in the beginning of October, it was that snow pretty much almost never left that shaded spot the entire winter. So watch for shaded areas. If you're riding below 32, if the road looks wet, count on it being icy. Stay off of painted surfaces. Tires, when they're cold, they don't grip as well. So you've got to ride a lot more conservatively and less dynamically. So that's probably one of the biggest things with riding during winter is really watch those shaded areas. And if you ever feel uncomfortable, turn around, go home, get in your car. But I'm not going to look down on you for putting your bike away, partially because if I did that, that would make me a hypocrite because I've already put my bike away for winter. If you can ever invest in Four Seasons gear, and if you are riding in, if your area tends to get down to 40 degrees, you're riding in it on a regular basis, Four Seasons gear is a worthy investment. And maybe some battery powdered heated gloves for like below 45. I would at least recommend that. I'm looking at a pair right now once I get the funds to pay for it. But anyways, outside of that, for those of you still riding, ride safe.